Hello you, Andy here for What Culture Wrestling, aka the Hillbilly Jim to Jules' Bruiser Brody. And I don't know about you scamps, but I've been watching a whole lot of 205 Live lately. And I've got to say, for the first time in the show's history, it's pretty f***ing awesome. The matches have been great, Drake Maverick feels like he's going to be a likeable general manager for a change, and the Cruiserweight title tournament promises good action all the way through to WrestleMania 34. Just like he did with NXT, the game is turning 205 Live around, but he can't just book a couple of cool matches, employ a new general manager, and hope that the problems magically disappear. This is a major salvage operation, and while work rate nerds like me are ecstatic with the new direction, it'll take a lot more to appeal to a wider audience. But how can Hunter solve these problems? Let's talk about it. Finally, the Cruiserweight Classic spirit has returned, and long may it continue. Now, the 2016 tournament was a godsend for fans of a certain ilk, as it pushed match quality back to the forefront and spurned over-the-top main roster style gimmicks for simple, relatable characters. This created a long series of matches that were as good as anything you'll find on the indies, and created great buzz for the division's full-time revival. But sadly, as is often the case in situations like this, things went south as soon as Vince McMahon got his hands on the division. Fast, fluid action was gone, headlocks were in, and the division soon became Little Guy Raw. 205 Live was born a few months later, and while this got everyone's hopes up, it was all for nothing. The show absolutely stunk. Viewership receded faster than my hairline, and soon enough, nobody cared. Things have improved a lot since Triple H took the reins from Vince McMahon in mid-January, and 205 already feels like a different show. Now, crowd reactions have been improving lately, but filming 205 Live after SmackDown has been an abject failure. By the time the Cruiserweights show up, the crowd have already been sitting around watching wrestling for 2 hours. They're exhausted, and they couldn't care less. Now, there are a couple of options on the table here. Moving to Full Sail University and aping NXT's format is one of them, but given how burned out that crowd have seemed lately, I don't know if giving them more wrestling is a good idea. Instead, why not film 205 Live before SmackDown? Sure, they'd need to rely on fans turning up earlier to see the show, but at least they won't have expended all their energy and should be able to make more noise. The second step? Dedicate at least 35 to 40 minutes to pure in-ring action every single week. Making 205 Live all about the wrestling makes perfect sense, as it would give the show some much needed identity, and the roster are more than talented enough to pull it off. Now, Triple H has already started doing this in recent weeks, but it must continue, as we'd much rather see more great matches like Hideo Itami vs Roderick Strong than more bloody gold dust. But if we're going to have all these matches, 205 Live is really going to need some more wrestlers, as there are just 13 full-time uninjured performers on the roster at the moment. What we need is a batch of NXT call-ups. Granted, Buddy Murphy's on his way, and apparently Leo Rush is too, but what about the underrated Fabian Eichner or Oney Lorcan? It's not exactly like they're doing anything important down as Full Sail. Might as well call them up. Now, this is all well and good, and these guys are excellent wrestlers, but they're not exactly the biggest names in the world. What 205 Live really needs is some star power, and Triple H can find that in Rey Mysterio. Now, granted, the former WWE champion probably only wants a part-time role at this stage of his career, but how awesome was his Royal Rumble appearance, and what bigger name could Triple H possibly throw on 205 Live? He's exactly what the show needs to attract a wider audience, even if he won't necessarily be around every single week. Now, speaking of star power, how about one of the few men who actually made 205 Live worth watching last year? I am, of course, talking about Neville. And now, before you start, I am not Neville, I am his and Tommaso Ciampa's love child. Get it right. But regardless, if there's any way to convince Neville to stay in WWE, this is surely it. Although Triple H would probably have to throw a big old bag of money his way. And finally, let's install a new title while we're at it. A trios title. This would definitely require some major roster additions, and yeah, WWE probably have one too many titles at the moment as it is, but this is new, it's fresh, it's different, and given that six-man tag wrestling is steeped in lucha libre history, it makes sense. On top of this, 205 Live already has a handful of natural partnerships on the go. You've got the Lince Dorado, Gran Metalik and Kalisto bromance. You could add a third wheel to Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. And hey, why not throw the Zoe Train back together? Without the stupid gimmicks, of course. Ultimately, 205 Live needs to provide something different to survive. Vince McMahon tried to build it as a character-driven show, with Enzo Amore as the centrepiece, but we already get that from Raw and SmackDown, so of course it failed. The game recognises this. He's reshaping 205 Live in the NXT mould, and if he keeps pushing forward, we reckon he'll be on to a winner.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. It might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.